Let's all get going. So, great, okay. So let's come into just parallel. We're gonna start today finding our weight centered over our feet. And from here, stand tall, press the floor away through both feet. And feel that engage your abdominals slightly. Feel how that can give you a little bit more length through your spine. So just pushing down. And take your hands now behind your head, interlace your fingers. Send your thumbs long down the back of your neck. And again, press the floor away. And close your eyes. Release that press. And again, push down into your feet. And notice if you're pressing evenly with the two first thing this morning, maybe not, I'm not. And then release that effort. And one more time, press down into your feet. Send the back of your skull long and slightly into your hands. And now just turn your chest to the right and try to keep even press down through both feet. And come back to center, eyes still closed. Pressing down, turn your chest to the left. Lots of length through the spine. And come back to center. And eyes closed, pressing into both feet as evenly as possible, turning your chest to the right, trying to stay centered. And come back. And pressing down and turning your chest to the left. And come back. Keep the eyes closed. Press the palms up to the ceiling, extending the elbows. And take a plie. Weight in the feet. And now press your palms hard towards the ceiling. Feel the two sides of your waist, of your trunk, lengthen up through the elbow and down through the hip. Trying to stay centered on both feet here. And now get a little sense of pressure into your feet without creating any tension around your hip joints. So we're long through the spine. There's work in the leg, in the thigh. There's weight in the feet, but the hip joints are soft and easy, dropping your pelvis. And if you'd like, you can open your eyes now and just take a little shake, letting the pelvis, the weight of the pelvis bounce down as you press your hands up really, really high. And keep that going. Shift your weight to your right foot and pick up your left foot. Eyes are open. Or if you're feeling intensely in the mood for a challenge, you can keep them closed. And bring the left foot down, keep that shake going, palms pressing up to the ceiling. Bring your weight into your left foot, right foot floats up. Keep the shake going. And bring it down, and bring your weight to your right foot, left foot lifts, keeping the shake going. So just like you're bouncing your pelvis up and down, so there's ease around the hip joint, and there's work in the leg. Arms pressing firmly to the ceiling and centering yourself, shifting into the left. Last time, lifting the right foot, little bounce, thinking about the release of your weight, your pelvis down. And center yourself. Bring yourself to standing. Let your arms come down and sense your weight even over your feet. From here, let's come into our runway and we're going to take a big bear crawl. So folding forward first time and taking the hands out, long steps. Arms reaching into the space in front of you, feeling the sides of your waist again. One side lengthening as the other shortens, a little bit of movement in your pelvis. Going forward and back, rolling up when you come to the end of your space. And again, folding forward and taking a giant crawl. Coming across and going back. Big push with the hands. Finding your parallel and rolling up. One more time, and really this time focus on the knee falling right in line with the center of the hip joint. So it's going to stay on the inside of your shoulder. Folding forward and long parallel crawl. Lots of reach from the arms, and then lots of push from the arms. And rolling up. We're going to take now this crawl forward again in parallel, watching once. Stepping one foot forward and lifting the other. Then coming out to take the next step. So we're just taking a little moment of finding a square pelvis with the leg extended before we continue the crawl. Okay? So coming into your runway, and we'll begin that right away. So taking your forward fold, walking the arms out, let's step the left foot forward, square your pelvis and lift the right foot. Fingertips are down, but not really weight bearing. Walk the hands out, step the right foot forward, and lift the left. Continuing, long strides. Lifting up and stepping forward. Lifting up and stepping forward. And as you go back, notice that that push back with the hands is going to facilitate a really nice deep hip crease. So you're going to find it maybe a more centered, maybe a more stable hip flexion, little pocket as you go. Taking this one more time, crawling forward and back, lifting one leg. So centering yourself and good. Keep going. And letting the head drop a little bit as you lift the gesture leg. Emily, a little more plie. And send that left sit bone, the support sit bone, back a little deeper. Yes, that's it. That's it. Good, keep going, getting that heel down and feeling the relationship of the heel moving back down onto the floor and the hip crease going deep. And everyone rest. Okay, adding on a little bit. We're gonna come into taking our same pathway, and this time we're gonna walk ourselves out to a plank, finding our weight over our hands, energy through the head, energy through the heels, and then we're gonna take this plank into a crawl. So I need to make sure that I'm not over bending the knee. If I bend beyond 90, I'm gonna start to sway my pelvis and flex my spine. So it's a really small step forward, and then I'm pushing off the toes, giving me a sense of almost launching forward off the foot, yeah? So we'll take this forward and then going back. So be very conservative with the size of your steps. Okay, so coming to center yourself on your path. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, take your legs back, and from here, stepping forward, pushing off the ball of one foot to take the weight into a new foot and hand. So the press away extends the bent leg, pushing to come to extension. So we might even think about this in relationship to our standing work when we straighten our knee. What is this like? So going back, the extension of the leg is unweighted. And coming forward, the extension of the leg is pushing weight away. Taking this one more time, trying to keep a sense of your spine reaching long, your abdominals drawing in, lots of work here. Keep that going, big push. And as you go back again, whenever you start that transit, noticing the work in the thrust arm, and that the leg that extends is no longer the thrust driver. And when you get to the end of your space, simply come over both feet and roll your spine up to standing. Okay, from here, come into a forward fold over parallel, dropping your head. Shift your weight onto your right foot and press into the floor to bring your spine up, then release to fold forward. So from the side, it's a subtle thing. I'm going to bring my weight onto my left foot, and then I'm really going to push down to find vertical. So none of my spinal muscles are doing any kind of obvious contraction to bring me to a vertical. It's really this sense of thrusting down that's going to pull my tailbone, my sit bone into a vertical. Okay? So take your forward fold, weight over your feet, drop your head, shift your weight into your right foot, pick up your left foot, and then simply press down until you're looking straight forward. Hips level, shoulders level, ears level. And then release that forward. Take your weight into your left foot, lift your right foot, and press down to find your spine in vertical. And forward fold. Sit bone moving back. Take your weight to your right foot, lift your left foot, press into the floor, and let the spine unravel. Fold forward. Take weight into left foot, lift right foot, press into the floor, and find your spine in vertical. Hinge forward. One more time each side, weight into right foot lifts, and press down to find vertical. Spine is very easy. And fold forward. And press into left foot, right foot lifts, and spine comes to vertical. Woo. And fold forward. Press, shift your weight into your right foot, lift your left foot, and press to find vertical. From vertical, simply push into the floor, knee extends or begins to extend. Plie, fold forward, keep the left foot off the floor. Again, press down to find vertical, and rise, plie, fold forward, left foot continues to float. Two more, press down to find your vertical, whoa, and press to extend, plie, pelvis rolls forward over thighs. One more, press down, find vertical, extend the leg, soften into your plie, stay here. From here, we're going to take just a little external rotation. Pelvis simply opens and then closes. Right leg might be on fire. And turning out again. And coming back. Very simple. Right leg just stays. Space hold the right leg. And turn out. And come back. One more. Turn out. And come back. Last thing, turn out, hold. Press down to straighten the right knee. And then plie. Press down to find extension all the way through the crown of the head. And then plie. Two more. Press down, grow tall. And plie. And last one, press down. And plie. Close the door. Fold forward. Take your weight onto your left leg. Pick up your right foot. Roll your spine to vertical by pressing the floor away. And then press down to extend the knee. Plie, hinge forward, dropping head. And repeat, press down to find vertical. Spine and pelvis roll up, hips level, shoulders level, and rising. Energy through, crown of head through that thrust of the floor away. And then release that thrust and fold forward. Two more. Press into your foot. Feel how that downward thrust engages your core. And then continue that downward thrust energy through the crown of the head. Knee softens, hinging, spilling your pelvis forward. And one more. Pressing down, spine comes to vertical. Extend the knee. Plie, stay here. Turning out. And in. And turning out. And in, keeping hips level, shoulders easy, turning out, and in. Last two, turn out, and in. One more, turn out, extend, grow really tall. See if that downward thrust can give you a sense of being centered over the foot. Notice if your tendency is to stay in the heel. And then energy stays going through the crown of the head. Plie and extend. 3 more, just letting the knees soften forward and then press the floor away. Last 2, knees softens forward and then push down, energy rises. Last one, plie, soften, press down, energy rises. Plie, close, fold forward, right foot down, walk it all the way out. And, okay, from here, we're just gonna take a little swivel of the hips. So bending the knees and I'm pressing back, my right hip rotates to the right, and I'm gonna shoot my weight forward. Bending my knees, taking my hips back and up to the left, and shooting forward. Again, bending and swiveling, and shooting forward. And bend and rotate, hips go back and up to the left, and forward. Taking this 2 more times. Bend and rotate, and come forward, and bend and rotate, and forward. 1 more each side. Bend and rotate, and come forward. And last one, bend and rotate the hips, and come forward. From here, lift your left leg, walk yourself back to your right foot. Weight bearing over the right foot, and draw your abdominals and feel your pelvic floor rise slightly towards your low ribs. Drop your knee forward and roll to this single leg plie. Press to come tall, plie, fold forward, and walk yourself back out. Same thing on this side. Walking yourself back to the right, and dropping the knee forward. Finding a vertical spine, hips level, skull stacked over thorax, over pelvis, over foot, and press to come tall. Plie, soften, and fold forward, walking out. And 2 more like that. Walk yourself back to the right, it's in parallel. Feel the weight come into that heel. Let the knee fall forward to press your skull to vertical. Nice and simple. Push down to rise, abdominals engaged, and plie. Softly let the pelvis fall forward. Last one, walking out, weight on hands, and come back to the right foot, right heel down, and drop the knee forward. Spine comes to vertical, hips are level, and press the floor away. Plie. Hinge forward and walk all the way out. Change side. Left leg down, right leg lifts, and then come and see how you're doing. Walk yourself back onto left foot and roll to vertical. Hips level. Left sit bone back a tiny bit, Anna. And also for you, Emily. And plie, hinge forward and walk yourself out. Finding your weight over your hands, good. And coming back, nice plie, weight centered. Right knee drops forward, level pelvis. Yeah. Find that vertical, stay in the plie. Left sit bone back a little, Izzy, and then hinging forward. As you roll up, Akira, on the next one, just watch out for the possibility that you might be dropping into left hip. And walking back. Nice, Adrian. Rotate right hip to the right a little bit. Energy up through right shoulder. And forward. And 1 more. Walk yourself out. Finding that plank. And then walk yourself back. Rolling up. And come forward. Find your plank, walk all the way out. Both feet down. And now walk yourself back to 2 feet and rest, or just come down. Whatever is comfortable. Okay, any questions before we go on? How you guys doing? Yes, Jason.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I was wondering, I just had a question when we're doing the one leg over.
Mm-hmm.
Are you allowing the sit bone? I get like confused sometimes, like when the articulation of the sit bone. So this is a drop, am I right?
On the return or on the up?
Either or, because I know like
Okay.
sometimes like we're doing a little bit of like the dropping to come up and the extending to go down. So I just wanted to just be clear. Because
Sure.
sometimes I do a
Sure.
variation on things. And then
Yeah,
my
no
only
problem.
other question, just to when I'm pushing, if there's any
Mm-hmm.
weight, and maybe you can think about this for when we work again some other time, but the clicking. It's when
Yeah.
we're doing the plank walks, the click happens on the left side.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Good to know. Anybody else have a question before I go on? Yes, Sarah.
I have been kind of thinking about this since the last time we worked together. You talked
Yeah.
about pelvic floor to diaphragm to soft palate. And I sort of have been thinking, like, I wonder how often you'd like us consciously engaging that way, or if we're supposed to be just sort of noticing and responding to it, or if it's something that, like, when we're starting to work, we pull in that way, or do we push away sometimes? There's kind of pelvic floor engagement throughout.
Okay. Yeah. Great question. Okay. Emily, did you have a question or was I imagining that?
No.
Okay. No, that's cool. All right. So let me get to both of these. So I'm going to start with Jason's because it's a little bit simpler. It's more directly mechanical. So in this particular exercise, what I am trying to do, let me walk myself forward. Okay, so as I come back, I'm in this moment, I'm really trying to find that reach back through the sit bone so that I've got this full engagement of the posterior hip. Then I'm going to push into my feet, which is going to initiate. Can you see that? This initiation of the movement of my pelvis back towards the vertical from the downward push. The downward push is engaging these hamstrings, and then that's going to drive my pelvis up. So it's that, and which becomes a little articulation to vertical. From here going forward, I'm thinking about sending the pelvis back. It's not a drop of the upper body. It's more, again, a tip. So neither's a wrong movement. Those are just the choices I'm making right now. Okay. Now thinking about pelvic floor, typically in my book, pelvic floor is something that is healthy in most of us, sufficiently healthy that we don't really need to think about it too much. When I give a cue for it, I'm actually thinking specifically about how to help you think about the structures of the body, these different relationships, these little mirrored structures that we have. So we have pelvic floor, which is actually hammocking a little bit like this. And then we have diaphragmatic floor, thoracic floor, which is doming like this. So they're kind of in opposition. And then above that, we have our soft palate, right? And then the crown of our head, the internal dome of the top of the skull. So dome, 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 sling. And then we have the domes of our hip sockets below that sling. And then even below that, we have the domes of the arches of our feet. So these little structures giving us buoyancy and mobility because they're domes, so everything moves in this way. The pelvic floor direction that I'm offering is really a way to tap in if you have sacroiliac instability, which I know some of the people in our class do. So thinking about a way that you can get a little bit, instead of the pelvic floor being a sling, that it can just draw taut a little bit to offer a little support to that SI joint from below, as you have this big effort happening in the hamstring. So that's what I'm thinking about there. So it's something that if it doesn't make sense for you, feel free to ignore it completely. If it's something that feels interesting to you to explore or useful, go towards it. And something that may be more specifically appropriate for some of us than others. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, great. But I do encourage you all to think about like these different doming relationships and how we can play with them as we move. All right, coming down now, let's come onto our right side, and we're gonna take a little riff that I started playing with this weekend. So you're going to have your right knee bent, left leg long, and from here we're gonna side bend up, left leg comes off the floor, twist towards that leg, reach the arms up and over to come out. So again, that's a side bend up, lengthening, twisting towards left leg, gesture leg. Arms come up and over, gaze goes with the fingers, and then dive out. And repeat. So left waist draws me up. I'm twisting towards my gesture leg. My fingers come up and over the top, and then I'm going to dive out onto that side. 3 more on this side. Side bending coming up. Big twist to the left. Fingertips come up and over, and I'm diving back out. 2 more. Side bending up. Big twist left. Fingertips up and over, and out. 1 more. Side bending up. Big twist to the left. Fingertips up and over, and out. Roll to your back. Take a little X. Take a breath. Notice how you feel having worked one side. From here, before we go to the other side, bend both knees and just simply scoop your tail under and bridge your hips up off the floor, thinking about low back curving, sit bones driving towards backs of thighs. Engaging the abdominals. Pick up your right foot without letting your right hip drop. Pushing down into the left. This side that just really worked. And bring the right foot down, scoop the tail under again, reestablishing that tuck of the pelvis. And then roll down. Rest in an X for a moment. Just taking a couple of breaths. And then we're going to come over to our second side. I can tell if it's better if I'm in the sun or not. Let's try sun. So left arm is long and left leg is bent. And from here, driving through right foot, coming up and taking a twist to the right leg. Arms come up and over the top to dive back down. And again, coming up, big twist to the right. Fingertips come up and over the top to slow you down as you come out. And 4 more times. Coming up, big rotation. Draw an arc through the sky and dive out. And 3 more times. Side bending up, feeling that top waist working. Big arc, over and out. And 2 more. Drawing up. And lifting right leg a little higher, Adrienne. Shifting out towards left hip slightly more. And 1 more time. Yes, there you go. Better. And rotate and up and over the top. Sliding back down. And rest. Come to your back. Bend both knees and just scoop the tail under. Bridge the hips up off the floor. Good. Pressing firmly into both feet, feeling pelvis tuck. Lots of work in the posterior hip. And now shift your weight into your right foot and pick up your left foot. Big tuck. Tuck the tail under more, Izzy. More rounding of the low back. And feeling that right hamstring work, bring the left foot down and reestablish the push with both feet. Big tuck of the tail. So the low back is in a little hammock, low back is rounded. And then roll all the way down and rest. Take a breath here. Good. Okay. Release yourself into an X. Just feel your weight here on the floor. All right. We're going to add on to this a little bit. Stay on your back, bring your feet into parallel hips distance apart. Hands are just resting by your sides. Scoop the tail under, micro bend the knees, and take a bridge with your legs extended. So just scooping pelvis lightly off the floor, feeling abdominal wall engaged. And in this position, decide if that sense of lifting that pelvic floor into a more dome shape is helpful to you or not. And then roll back down. We're going to take this again. scooping tail under, pressing into heels, rolling hips up off the floor. And from here, take your, bend your elbows, press into left foot and rotate pelvis to the right. And then come back to center. Press into right heel and externally rotate pelvis to the left. And come back to center, keeping that tuck. Again, pressing into left, turning out and beginning to rotate your pelvis open to the right. And come back to center, press into right and begin to rotate your pelvis open to the left. And come back to center, big scoop and come down, rest. Engaging your abdominals, lift your head, work your neck, look at your toes, and press into your feet and press into your hands for a moment. As if you were standing on both, really drawing your weight onto these low ribs. And come all the way back down. Okay, watching once. We're gonna scoop the tail under, roll the pelvis off the floor, elbows are bent, pressing into the left. I'm gonna roll up and over onto the meat of my right shoulder and come into a little arabesque here. From this arabesque, I'm gonna bend that knee and take attitude, following my fingers up overhead, then lengthen back to the arabesque, feeling some sense of energy going through my spine. My bottom hip is off the floor, the foot comes back down, and I roll back to my back. So watching on the other side one more time. Externally rotating pelvis on right standing leg, pushing to come onto the meat of my left shoulder, arabesque, and then attitude looking up overhead, extend back, and scoop the tail under, coming onto my back. Okay, and rest. So let's give that a go. We're gonna do each side a few times. Coming into your parallel, and scoop your tail under and roll your pelvis off the floor. Again, making sure that this is a low shape. Elbows are bent, press into left, rotate, come onto right side arabesque. From here, bending knee, attitude, looking up towards your fingers, bottom hip again is off the floor, and then lengthen out, growing taller through the crown of the head. Left foot comes down, scoop the tail under, and then you're on your back. Press into right, rotate to the left, arabesque, bending right knee, looking up overhead, attitude, and then lengthen out, and scoop the tail under, coming back to your back. Reestablish that tuck. Press into left and rotate to right, and take your arabesque. From here, take the attitude, and then rotate back to come back to your back. Pelvis is low. And scooping tail under in center, pressing into right foot, externally rotate, coming onto left shoulder. And then attitude. Right hip is externally rotated. Keep the pubic bone rolling up in front and lengthen back and center. Come down, rest for a second, release the effort. Lift your head and shoulders, look towards your toes. And press into those hands and feet again, as we just did. Absolutely. Big, big push. Good. And then from here, come down, rest. We're gonna take each side one more time. So, scooping tail under, pressing into heels, rolling pelvis up off the floor. And pressing into right heel, rotate to arabesque, right leg off the floor. Attitude, right thigh turns out. Chest lifts to look towards fingertips, but keep your pelvis upright on your standing leg. And then lengthen back to your arabesque and roll back into that tuck on your back. Scooping the tail under and a little more tuck, Adrienne, a little more tuck, yeah. And pressing to come onto the left shoulder and arabesque. And then externally rotate to find your attitude. Good. Looking up towards those fingertips. And then as you lengthen back to arabesque, spine gets longer. And tuck the tail under and roll onto your back. And roll all the way down. Rest. Great. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Okay, Jason has a question. And Akira, did you have a question? Okay. No, okay.
When we're doing Martha Graham,
Yes.
are we keeping the gesture leg in internal rotation the whole time?
Okay, gesture leg is in slight external rotation and hip extension. Ew. So he's a fan of that. So everyone, just come down and let's find this position for a second. So if you come onto your right side, and we're gonna come up here, yeah? So this leg is reaching long. Now, turn it into internal rotation and notice how much gripping sensation you get right here. Now turn it out and bring it back a little bit and notice that the work goes back a little deeper. So you can bring your hand onto the floor even to help you here for a second. So turn it in, toes go towards the floor. Oh my God, tensor fasciae lata, this guy pops out. Now turn it out and take it back a little bit. Oh my God, rotators and glute medius. Feel that? You feel the difference? Okay, so let's take the other side. So coming onto this side, come down onto this side and then lengthen yourself up. Right leg is off the floor. So it looks parallel because in this position, there's not that much. That's the max rotation, keeping my pelvis square that I've got in this relationship to gravity. Not huge. So there's parallel, there's internal rotation, parallel, turn out. And I'm going to keep that external rotation and take the hip back a little bit. So I'm getting a lot of work back here. Yeah, and
that's what you want when you're doing the exercise, to have it in that back space a little bit, or
yeah, side. If it can be directly to the side, but if you can get it into the back space a little bit, you can benefit from that, just a little bit.
Okay.
So that might be a little more stable. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else before we go on? Okay, so just to make a connection here, so those muscles that we just really felt when we took that rotation back here tend to be pretty weak on downstairs, just relatively speaking. So these are also some of the muscles that are engaging when we're doing something like this or something like this. So we're really getting that whole lateral hip to support us in a big, big way. Okay, so I'd like for us now to come to a first position, small first position. And from here, we're gonna just try to get our adductors going a little bit more for us. So we're gonna take a forward fold, catch our weight on our hands, press back to a flat back. And right away, we're gonna shift to that right foot. We're gonna close into parallel, externally rotate, bring the left foot down, and then drop down to do the other side. So I'll do the first couple with you. So first position. And fold forward plie, catch your weight on your hands. Press back, long flat back, sit bones reaching back and up. And now I'm going to shift my weight to my left leg, lift my right foot, close to parallel around that left hip joint. Externally rotate, and bring the right foot down. Dive down, catch my weight. Press back, long flat back. Shifting into my right foot, picking up my left. Internally rotate to parallel, externally rotate, bring the foot down, dive down, catch my weight, plie the arms, press back. Sit bones reaching back and up, abdominals engaged, shifting onto left, lifting right, and rotating. Internal rotation to parallel, external rotation, right foot down, dive down, catch my weight, press back, sit bones back and up. Shifting onto right foot, lift left, rotate to parallel, externally rotate, left foot down, roll forward, and press back. One more each side, and then we're gonna add on a little bit. Shifting to left foot, and rotating to parallel. Head a little bit higher, Emily, and shoulders a little bit lower, good. And externally rotate, right foot down. Last time, taking your weight in your hands, and press back. Shifting to the right foot, lifting the left foot. Internally rotate, come to parallel. Externally rotate, left foot down, Catch your weight in your hands and press back. From here, drop pelvis, first position plie. And just press into the floor to extend the knees. And press into the balls of the feet to lift the heels. So here again, thinking about heels, pressing up into this series of stacking floors. Heels come down. And again, releve, heels rise, and plie. Release that work. And two more. Extend the knees and then continue that extension into this downward thrust that goes all the way through the crown of the head. Release the thrust, release the knees. One more, pressing into the soles of the feet and thrusting the feet up into your soft palate, into the dome of your skull. And then the heels soften down and the knees release. And fold. Okay, watching once. I'm gonna fold forward, catch my weight on my hands, press back, flat back, shifting onto one foot. I'm gonna tendu. Now in this tendu, I'm gonna do an internal rotation and external rotation. And then I'm gonna take a rond de jambe up, flex in, other side. Pressing back, flat back. And keeping, this is the hard part, to keep those sit bones reaching back as I take that tendu. Now in that tendu, wow, tempting to round the back, keeping the sit bones driving back, the arms reaching out and down. Right leg is in tendu, and I'm going to internally rotate right leg, externally rotate right leg, then rond de jambe up into the back, folding the foot in as I drop my head, bringing that down to the floor, catching my weight. Yeah, any questions, or shall we go for it? Let's go for it. Okay, I'm gonna do the first two with you, and then I'm gonna come watch and do corrections. So, standing in our first position plie, we roll forward and catch our weight on our hands. Press back, flat back, sit bones reach long. Shift your weight to your right foot, tendu left leg. Keep that sit bone reaching back, spine long. Internally rotate right leg, externally rotate right leg, left leg, and then rond de jambe, back and up, fold in, bring that foot down and catch your weight on your hands. Plie, press back, sit bones reach back, shifting to left, tendu right, turn in, turn out. Keep the reach through the crown of the head, right leg rond de jambes, and then folds in and down. Catch your weight on your hands. Press back, flat back. And shifting weight onto right foot. Tendu left. Internally rotate, externally rotate. Lift the chest a little higher, Akira. Yeah, that's it. And fold forward. Take the weight down. Big press back. Long flat back, head a little higher and shoulders lower. There you go, that's it, Izzy. And sit bones up, Sarah. Tendu right. Turning in and out, rond de jambe. And fold forward. Foot down, catch your weight on your hands. And press back. Head a little higher, Emily. And arms a little lower. Yeah. And taking that rond de jambe. Keep the right hip reaching back here, Adrian. Yes. Sense the whole sole of that right foot as you fold forward. Yeah, good, good, good. And out and taking your weight back and onto your left leg. Good. And keep the knee long. Left sit bone stays driving back. That's it, Adrian. Right hip down a little bit. And now the, yep, exactly. Let that hip move back. Perfect. Catch your weight and come up to standing. Everyone rest. Okay. Questions, comments? No. Okay. Yes. I unmuted you. Oops. I didn't unmute you. Did you have a question?
No, I was falling.
Oh, okay, great. These things get confusing from afar. Okay, cool. So let's come into something traveling a little bit across the space. So we're going to take a long lunge forward, keeping the front leg is in external rotation, back heel is off the floor, back leg is in slight external rotation. And from here, we're just going to scissor up, little tendu forward, fold, lengthen back, turn out, parallel. And now stay in plie, développé to lunge. Whoa. Keeping so right hip is forward here. And I'm going to scissor to take a small développé. Now I'm going to fold forward just as we just did, then lengthen out into this flat back arabesque. From here, I'm going to take a small external rotation on my standing leg, keeping that hip crease driving back, turning out. And then I'm going to fold forward, stay in plie as my pelvis comes to vertical, développé. Now try not to do a tuck, so just an upright pelvis, calm upper body, and then I'm going to launch myself gently forward into my next lunge. Yeah? So we'll do that forward, and then we'll turn around and we'll still do it forward. Okay. So I'll start with you. Starting with the right leg. Arms reaching wide and low. And I'm going to take that lunge forward on the right. Pelvis is upright. And from here, scissor the legs together and brush forward. Simple moves back, I plie, I fold. And then I lengthen that leg back behind me. Left hip is level with right. Now, turning out, pelvis and chest to the left on right hip. And then folding back forward, rounding the spine and bringing pelvis to vertical on plie, extend left leg, and then lunge. From here, scissor through and tendu. Plie, draw the support hip back as the head falls forward, and then lengthen distal points, tone head out into this arabesque. From here, taking your external rotation on your standing leg, and then folding to square hips, rolling spine up on plie, développé, and lunge. Pressing into the floor to scissor the legs together, and tendu. From here, folding, drawing the hip back as the head rolls forward, lengthen out long, flat back, and take your external rotation on your support leg, and then squaring. Square hips, tail drops under, and développé forward. And lunge. Taking your thighs towards each other, your heels towards a shared midline, tendu. Plie, hinge, head drops, lengthen, flat back, externally rotate, square it off, roll your pelvis and spine to vertical, press into your lunge. Keep going, just a couple more. Taking your own timing, finding as sensitive a relationship as you can to your support leg. Good. Lengthening out. Draw right sit bone back a little bit more, Sarah. And see if that's a little more stable. Good. And make sure that at the bottom of the lunge, the pelvis is upright between the legs. Good. Left sit bone back and up, Anna. Yeah, that's it. Left thigh turning out a little bit more. Yeah, so that deepens that crease and increases your stabilization. Stay in that plie there, Akira, and take your sit bone back slightly. Yes. Yes, good. And everyone finish your second side. Right sit bone back more, Izzy, so make that smaller. And stay in your plie as the leg comes back through. And once you've finished your second side, a little more energy through the sternum there, Chelsea. Once you've finished your second side, just come to rest. Okay. How are you guys doing? Good? Okay. Questions, comments? Ready for more? Ready for more? Awesome. Okay. So let us we're going to revisit, do a variation on something that we did. I don't remember if it was Friday. I think it might have been Friday, but we're going to do a variation on it. So it's a little bit of repeat for some people, but I think it's an interesting movement pattern. So the keys here are to really tuck the pelvis, to keep your tuck going in a big, big way. I'll clue us into when that's going to happen. So we're going to take rotation in our shoulder girdle and rotation on our support hip joint. So it's a side plank, and from here I'm going to take my arabesque. Now I'm going to externally rotate chest in shoulder girdle and pelvis on support hip. Externally rotate to look up to the ceiling, reaching this foot back and down. It might touch the floor, but it's not weight bearing. Now from here, I'm going to rond de jambe, and at the last second, I'm going to bring this foot, I'm a liar. From here, I'm going to put the foot on the floor, and I'm going to draw my right knee in towards my chest. As I do that, I'm keeping my pelvis tucked under and not letting my hips lift. So I'm drawing this in, and then I'm going to press that foot out as if I'm doing a big split leap, naturally. And then left hand is going to come down. Left foot steps over. Coming into my first position, single leg plie. So from here, I'm going to press down to come up. I'm going to plie, small external rotation, folding back down, out, internally rotate, and I'm back where I started. So let me give that again. Weight is on right forearm, hips are lifted, and I'm taking arabesque. Left foot comes down as I externally rotate, tuck and right knee comes up. Leap right foot forward, left hand comes down, left foot steps, turn. I'm in my external rotation flipped, 180 from where I started. Press down to come up, lengthen into rotation. Now from here, fold back the way you came, take the leg out, turn the chest, and you're back in your side plank. Okay? I will do the first one or two with you. Come onto right forearm and stack left leg up. Externally rotate and take that left leg down on the floor behind you. Tuck the tail and keep the tuck, bend right knee in. Leap right foot forward, press pelvis with it, left hand down, foot down, turn 180 degrees, weight on left foot. Press down to lengthen out. Plie and foot and fingers reach together behind you. Draw fingers down towards floor, whoa. Lengthen that foot out, bring the arm back down, and you're in your side plank. Externally rotate, left foot comes down, right knee draws up in a tuck, and then leap it forward. Left hand down, right foot down, forward fold, rounding the back, pressing down, just as we did at the beginning, find that tantu. Fingers and toes reaching towards each other behind you, then diving forward, over standing leg, right foot reaches back, right forearm down, and you're back. Again, externally rotate, left heel down. Scoop the pelvis under and draw the right knee in and up. Leap it out, and then step that right foot out and down, step over with the left. First position, and then fingers and toes reach towards each other behind you, and retrograde to fold down. coming back. And let's take the other side. So come down, rest for 1 second. And coming onto your left side. And from left side, lifting hips up. Taking right leg into arabesque. And bringing right heel to the floor. Keep the scoop of the pelvis as the left knee bends. Leap the left leg forward. Step the right foot around, press into the right hand, and find that first position. Push down to take your tendu. Good. Yep, push down, letting that left hip stay low. Externally rotate. Fingers and toes reach together, and then fingers scoop back towards pelvis as you round forward. Coming in, retrograde, back down to the left forearm. Right leg reaches back, arabesque, keep the pelvis scooped under, knee draws in, and then you leap that leg out, step around, press up. First position, pressing into right leg to find your tendu, and then back melts into extension as fingers, toes, back of skull reach toward foot. And then retrograde, draw the hands towards center, folding forward into this forward fold we've been practicing, and reaching back down to forearm. One more on this side. Right leg reaches way back into arabesque, and right heel comes to floor. Pelvis is scooped into hip extension. Nice, Adrienne. Big push, beautiful. That's it. And then the leg reaches around. Weight comes into right foot, feeling right hip engage. A little more lift of right sit bones and tendu. Pelvis comes to vertical, pubic bone up. That's it. Knit those low ribs together, even here. And then finding that forward fold and coming all the way back down. And rest. Okay. I'm just going to stop the video. Thank you, everybody who is joining asynchronously, virtually, and then we can have a moment of chat. All right.